So for my research, we developed a new system for cancer, which is one of the most major diseases. And we usually use treatments like chemotherapy and radiation, but they have some side effects and patients are not that healthy afterwards. So if you use a treatment which we are developing, it's really tiny particles and there's no major side effects. It can be more effective and treat cancer in a better way. So almost everyone here knows someone who has suffered from cancer, and we also know of the hardships the patients face. Even treatments like chemotherapy and radiation, which are currently used to treat cancer, have a lot of side effects, and they're not always effective, and the cancer can often come back. So for my research, we decided to use something really tiny, known as nanoparticles, to treat cancer, and use it for more effective cancer therapy. So how these particles are made is really tiny. It's 10,000 times smaller than your body cells. They're made out of iron oxide, which is the rust you see on the metal objects. They've also been approved by the government for use in the human body. So how the system works is that you have a syringe filled with this nanoparticle solution. You inject these particles in the patient's body, and they flow through your bloodstream. They are then localized in the cancer tumor. You then apply a high-frequency magnetic field to cause heating in the particles. The temperatures can go as high as 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is like a very hot, sunny day in Arizona, so you can imagine that this heat can definitely kill the cancer tumor. So I'm sure many of you are wondering, how is this heat being produced? And I was faced by the same question for my research. So let's look at a simple pendulum, which hangs upright without motion. But when you flick the pendulum, it goes on the either side and comes back to the center. Nanoparticles behave in a very similar way, and they orient in a particular direction. But when you apply the magnetic field, it pulls the particles away from the center and acts like the flick of the pendulum. The particles then start rotating. However, there is one big difference between these two systems. The frequency of the magnetic field, which causes the rotation, is really fast, almost equal to 100,000 hertz. That's like the frequency of the radio waves when you listen to your music. This means that the particles are rotating very fast, and in some cases, almost equal to 100,000 times in a second. Now, this is like a wheel of a racing car. When it rotates really fast, it generates a lot of heat, and this heat is the factor which kills the cancer cells. So the next step of my research was to optimize the system for effective therapy. Now, since the heating is caused by the magnetic field, you can change the field strength and frequency, which means how strong and how fast the field is, to make the particles generate more heat. We can also change the shape and the size of the particles and make them better to produce more heat. Finally, heating also depends on the thickness or viscosity of the medium. Usually, the solution or the particles is made with water, but if you use something more thicker, like a gel, then the particles rotate less and they generate less heat. What this means is that we can identify several parameters and optimize them so the particles can generate more heat for least amount of particles. This system then becomes really efficient and can cure cancer without any major side effects. This can improve the life of patients throughout the world and give us more hope in our fight against cancer. Thank you. I think it went fine. I could say most of the things I wanted to say, and I was calm during the presentation, so I think I did fine. Yeah.